Hello there. Right, so today we're having a little play in Blender with fur. So this is not my scene. I did not create this scene. The only thing I've done with this is adjust the camera, have a little play combing the fur on it, and when I downloaded it, it didn't include any textures, therefore all the texturing on the fur was gone, so I basically went into the materials and just made everything a grey blue colour where I could, just to make it so that I didn't have to make any texture maps because there were none. Blah blah blah. I'm on waffling on. I am. Right, let's close that down. We don't need that. So this is my final render, which took 20 minutes and 52 seconds to render it out. This is HD res, 1920 by 1080, and it was rendered out on a 2.4 gigahertz quad core without hyperthreading. So only four buckets running on this. So if you had hyperthreading, it'd be about 10 minutes or so. If you had a 6 core, it would be a little bit quicker than that. And if it was something better than 2.4 gigahertz, which most PCs are these days, this is an old PC, it'd be basically, it's really quick at rendering, don't you reckon? And looks pretty amazing, I'd say. It's not perfect, like around the nose needs sorting out, but you know, generally speaking, very good and quite usable. Right, enough of that. So I got it from here. So if you go to Blender Diploma or Diplom, whatever that's called, diplom.com, under tutorials, you've got 2 videos showing you how to do fur on a cat, and this is with all the textures. So I don't have all these textures, so I've just gone with colours. And if you go to part 2, bum 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 bum. When it decides to load it up, you can download the finished blend file, which is the thing that I've opened. So we don't need that no more. We do need Blender. Hello. Fine. So this is Blender, and all I've got is a user perspective view here, and I can rotate around it, and you'll notice that I do actually have the fur in the viewport with its children, not just the guides. Hey ho. What I've done here, this is a preview render at the top. This is using cycles, so I can alter around this and see how that's looking. Takes a little time to update. Don't forget, I don't have a GPU, so I can't take advantage of GPU accelerated rendering, which you get in cycles. So I'm just relying on my oldie wildy 2.4 gigahertz Intel chip. Without hyperthreading. So let's turn this back so we're not doing that anymore. So it's just put you on solid. Boing, there we go. So right, so in here, what is it like to actually handle the fur? Well, I've only got the head one switched on at the minute, as you can see here, face fur, but I could put the main fur on as well. Switch this guy back on again, there we go. And what we might want to do is right and click and join area, and we're going to join that way. Boing. So we only have one viewport. There we go. So even though we've got all this fur in the viewport, you know, and this is with a rubbish video card, which is a GT 8500. Yeah, so this is probably the worst PC. This PC is going to get upgraded, by the way, so you know, don't worry, it will get a better PC. But what I'm trying to say here is getting great viewport performance with all these hairs on here. Let's just go and hide the main fur. We don't need to play with that. So we've just got the head fur on at the moment. So the way of doing fur, or the best method of doing fur, is doing them in segments. So I've got the head fur, got the body fur, the paw fur. I think there's a little bit extra underneath the collar, the fluff basically, which is here. Let's turn the fluff back on. That's the fluff. Yeah, and a bit of sort of shaggy dog look to it. It's quite nice. So what is it like to actually comb this stuff? Because I know what it's like to comb the guide hairs inside Studio Max, and we're going to go there in a bit with a little test. And I'm going to go also to show you guide hair combing in Modo. Let's do that. See how far that gets us. But let's do it in this then. So let's go and do some combing. So as you can see, this is all being combed by whoever's done it. So let's just mess this all up. So what we need to do to be able to comb something is, one, probably a good idea to select the face fur, which we've got selected here. Strangely enough, he didn't call it face fur on this one. whoever's done this. Doesn't matter, face fur. And we need to go from object mode into particle edit mode. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's click on that. There we go. So now we can do combing. So we have a radius. So at the moment it's sort of that big, but we can make it sort of that big, bigger, or smaller. Yeah, can you see how that's working? And then we also have a strength, and I think point 2 is a good thing. So we're on face fur at the minute, and we can just basically, you know, do what we want with it. So we can actually paint with this. Yeah, and we can sort of adjust where this flow is happening, like so. Yeah, I just want to go back up here again. Depends what sort of strength we're looking at. Let's take the radius down a bit and the strength down quite a bit. We don't want to like ruin it. But this is with guide hairs and we're recording, which is a nightmare. So this is a little bit better when we're not recording. Bearing in mind this is an old PC. But you know, we can sort of do what we want. We can add a bit of a wiggle to it. I'm used to using a mouse on this, so add a bit of a wiggle to these things. What the guy says, you really can't do symmetry. It sort of doesn't really work. So you do each side, which in a way is quite good because it then makes you make it a bit more interesting to look at. We do get a little bit of an odd view while we're doing this. It looks like we can sort of see through the head in a way. But if we get back out of particle edit mode just to be in object mode, it sort of all updates and we can see what we've done. Yeah, but we can actually go back into particle edit mode. We can actually do combing on what something almost looks like a finished thing. You know, it's pretty cool. So yeah, pretty nice. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Just drag it over. So this is actually doable. And like I say, if I'm not actually recording, then this is, let's undo that one. This is a lot easier. There we go. And also this will respond to pressure sensitivity, which I'm not currently using because I'm just using a mouse. Which is quite apt since we're playing with a cat. Yeah. But we can do pretty good stuff. And so display is interpolated. We can say display 35, number of children present, so we'll say display will do 10. That should lower it down. So if you're having trouble, you can like lower this down and make it a little bit easier on yourself. Yeah, so that feels a little bit more fluid now. Yeah. And then we can just do that. We can actually do cool things. Yeah. So, what do you think? I reckon pretty cool. Yeah, and let's just add a few more, and we go back out of particle edit mode into object mode. It'll sort of update it and show you where we're at. And that basically is that. So if we do display 2, yeah, you can see you can drop it right down just to give a basic overview of how it's looking. Let's go back into this edit mode again. Okay, then. So this is like lots. Depends how good your graphics card is, I think, how well you're going to comb this. But this is dead doable. All I can say is, if they were charging for it, I'd probably buy it, because having used Studio Max and their fur and whatever, I mean, some things inside Studio Max, like, you know, look like it would be a good idea. Like they've got loads of little cool options, and you can load up preset fur types and whatever. But just the idea of combing, I mean, with the number of fur even in this view is like you know, loads more than what Max can cope with. It really is. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So this is just 2% of what's actually going to be rendered. We can turn off interpolated, so we've got none. Oh, that looks cool. Or put it on simple even. Yeah, just on simple. Interpolated then uses those guide hairs. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know, very doable. We'll put that back to 35. So we've got some children hair coming up. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at all that lot. That's all the children hair. And go back out into object mode. I'm just sort of gushing over this, aren't I? All I've got to say, it's epic. And like, why people ain't screaming and shouting about this, I don't know. Because I think it's just brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you know, and the viewport performance, look. Woohoo! It's just fine. You know, and if we do want to do a preview render, we can do. And this will not make my computer very happy at all. But you know what? Still does it. So this is probably the worst computer you can do it with, apart from a really old laptop. I can even move it around. Look. Try doing that in Max. Well, you know what? You can't. You have to go and render it, and then you see nothing. The thing I don't like about Max is you see nothing until you find out it's no good. You sit there for like 15 minutes waiting for this render effect thing to pop in. You don't get any preview of it coming in because it's a render effect. It's a post effect. So you get the render all of mental rate, all scan line, all turn up first, and you get to see the shadows first. Then you wait for ages and ages and ages, and you find out it doesn't look any good. Whereas in Blender, one, in the viewport, you have a really good idea of what you're about to get, and two, you get a preview renderer that works on any sort of yeah. Shall I stop gushing over Blender for the moment? I mean, yeah, plenty of work to be done on this, but and this is a preview render, don't forget. This isn't the final render. It's just like, oh, can I have a quick look now, please? And what does it look around the back of the head? Does that look okay? You know, and yeah, amazing. That's all I can say. Really, really cool. So let's turn that back to being solid. But you get a good idea of what you're about to get, which is like, wow. You know, basically, wow. Yeah, that'll do. I reckon we've evangelized about Blender enough today, and that will conclude me going, I like Blender. So there you go. See you on the next one. I will need to learn how to do all this. I have watched the videos, haven't actually gone off and done it myself yet, so I'm just playing with somebody else's scene. But yeah, I like it. I might go and celebrate with a biscuit and a cup of tea. So I'll see you in a bit. And we've got a cat who's meowing. What's up with you? Well, that's not you. Don't worry, that's all cool. This is just a pretend cat. You're the real cat. I think Polly needs some food, so gotta go. Catch you in a bit. Cheers, bye.